Randy with Rashleigh's Border Q, and today we're going to be reviewing the Smoke remote thermometer system by Thermoworks, just released recently. That's what it looks like in the package. We're going to be doing a package opening and a product review, so we hope you'll stick with us, and we'll be back to open the box and take a look. Here it says it has a 300-foot range, so uses Pro Series temperature probes. Let's open it up and take a look at what we got. Meat probe, the grill temp probe, lanyard for the remote clip to clip onto your grill, your grate. There's the remote, and there's the outside unit that goes by the grill. First thing I notice is the outside unit has magnets, so you can stick it on a metal surface. The magnets don't stick out past these rubber pads though, so the rubber pads keep the magnets from scratching a shiny, clean metal surface. Very cool. Got the little tab you pull off to, must already have batteries in them. A little tab to pull to activate or to let the battery make contact with the contacts and work. We'll pull off the screen protector. I'll go ahead and pull that tab out. And it comes on. Now I'm getting a no probe alarm. Yes, I know. The no probe alarm just cleared. The one thing about this unit is that the remote transmitter communicates with the remote receiver every 15 seconds. I've had some other thermometers that go as much as 4 minutes before a change at the transmitter is reflected on the receiver. This one updates every 15 seconds. So you can see from the time I plugged in the probes, about 15 seconds later, it shows that they cleared. We'll do a probe test later to see how close they are in ice water and boiling water. As we look at the probes, you'll notice that there's a silicone covering here that, according to Thermoworks, is going to help prevent water intrusion up into the temperature probe. Also, they have a spring strain relief on both the probe end and on the connector end. That's a nice touch. The meat probe is the same way. Meat probe, you'll notice the silicone unit here, and spring strain relief on both the probe end and the connector end. For those of you that know I run a Yoder smoker and may have watched my video on what options I ordered, and I ordered the dual thermometer probe ports, might ask, with a larger base of the Smoke thermometer fit through the temperature probe? And the answer is no and yes. If I remove the cover nut and try to get that probe with a base through the bushing, it will not fit. However, if you remove the bushing, the base of this thermometer will easily pass through that probe. You just have to leave the bushing and the nut off. And I believe, judging from how easily it passes and how much space I have left, you could put 2 probes in there. You'd have to pass the first one, and then once the cord is in place, then you could pass the second one. But it will pass with the bushing and nut removed. Hope that helps. This is quite possibly one of the most intuitive, easy to set thermometers I've ever seen. For instance, if you want to change the alarm temperatures for probe 1, set up or down to change the temperature. We're going to set it for, let me see which one I have that on. That's on the meat probe right now. So let's set it for 200 degrees as the maximum temperature. The next press of the set jumps down to the minimum temperature, which we don't really need a low alarm. So we hit set one more time and it accepts our settings. Move to the next one, which is set up on the pit probe. And let's say we want to run our pit at 250. One press goes to the maximum, the high temperature. Let's say we want to know if the temperature exceeds 250 and gets to 265. And then we don't want the pit to go below 240. Another press of the set goes to the low temp. It might help if I press the right arrow. If you hold it, it scrolls up. 220, 30, 240. It's still blinking. The final press of the set button sets it. The low alarm right now is flashing because we're below 240 degrees, obviously. I've had my hand laying on the probe, so the temperature has gone up on that probe. For each probe, you can select whether you want the alarm to operate or not. For instance, if you don't want the meat temp probe to alarm, you set it to off. If you do, you set it to on, and it indicates right here. We'll turn both probes to on. If you want to silence the alarm completely, right now it's in mute. There's a speaker with an X through it. The next press of volume goes to first level, second level, third level, fourth level, or maximum volume, and then back to mute. It has a backlight, and if you want to change the setting from centigrade to Fahrenheit, it's right here. Calibrate button, and the on-off button is right here on the back. On-off button takes a long press, and there you go. On the receiver unit, there's no settings such as that, so this button is a combination turn on the light and turn the unit on. So we'll turn the unit on. It's showing a connectivity failure because I have the transmitter turned off. And backlight off, backlight on. To turn the receiver off is a long press, and the receiver's off. Very simple compared to some of the other remote thermometers I've used, which require a lot of multiple presses and long press, short press to get to different modes and multiple menu modes. This is just super intuitive. We talked about the on-off button, the centigrade or Fahrenheit selection, the calibrate button. One thing I want to note, the instructions don't give any instructions for calibration. It gives you a link to go to the Thermoworks website where calibration is indicated, or where it's taught. The final button looks like a Wi-Fi button, if you will, and that is to turn off the sender to the remote receiver. If you turn off the transmission to the remote receiver, then the base unit acts as a standalone outside thermometer. It uses less battery. When you turn on the transmitter that transmits to the remote receiver, obviously it takes more battery power. This does use AA batteries in both the receiver and the transmitter, as opposed to 9-volt batteries. So it's a little cheaper to keep batteries in it. Let's head over to the stove and do some temperature tests. Okay, I had the probes in the ice, so the temperature is reading a little lower than the actual temperature of the room here. But let's go ahead and dunk them in the ice water. See how quickly they go down. 34, 33, 33.0, 33.3, 32.7. The meat probe is showing 32.6, and the air temperature probe showing 32.8. Now 32.4 and 32.7. They're about 2 or 3/10 of a degree apart, but they're both showing approximately 32 degrees. which is the freezing temperature of water. And since this is ice water and not straight ice, I call that a valid test. And again, they're within 2 to 3/10 of a degree of reading the same temperature. So that's pretty close. Straight out of the box, I have done no calibration. Now we'll move straight to the boiling water test. 210, 211. Ow, that's hot. 211.9 on the temperature probe, the pit probe, and 211 on the meat probe. 11.5. 211.4. We know water boils at 212, so it's within approximately a half a degree of being accurate, 0.5 degrees off. And that's straight out of the box with no calibration, stock probes. So that's a pretty accurate test. It's close enough for me out of the box. One final test to show you kind of how quickly the temperatures change. We're at 210 to 212 degrees, more or less, in the boiling water. I'm going to come out of the boiling water and go straight to the ice water. The base unit has already dropped to 34 degrees, 33 degrees. Now the remote unit is already down to 33. We'll give it about 10 or 15 more seconds and the other temperature should adjust also. The pit temperature on the bottom. There it goes, 34 degrees. Now it agrees with the base unit. So the temperature updates between the base unit and the remote receiver every 15 seconds. That was just a quick little review of the Thermoworks Smoke remote thermometer system. Right now, South Texas Outdoor Kitchens has these in stock, and I just want to throw this out there. If you're local, go by and pick one up quick. If you do, they're going to throw in for a limited time a time stick by Thermoworks, and the offer is only valid until the supplies are gone, and they only have 3 or 4 of these in stock. So if you get by there soon, they'll throw one of these in with the purchase of the Smoke remote thermometer system. I hope you enjoyed the quick review of the Thermoworks Smoke remote thermometer. If you did, click like, subscribe, and we'll see y'all later on down the road on Rashley's Border Q. Adios.